why is the window falling like a guillotine? It's trying to attack her. What is it? It's like that lack of definition, right? For me, I think like what seemed the most like ugly element is the old woman and her inability to acknowledge the fact that she's changing, that time is passing. And there are movies like that strike at this theme of extreme vanity and the losing touch with reality and with yourself. Um, so this exaggeration of vanity, narcissism brought to an extreme, and jealousy. I think it's jealousy too. Someone in another class brought up Snow White, right? The mirror was the prettiest of them all, and so on. And there's similarity here too, because Laura loses her mother, right, in childbirth. So I feel like there's almost this hate or inability to have other women who are beautiful around her, right? And she needs to kill these people so that she can be the only one whose reflection we see in those mirrors. But of course, it's delusional, right?
I have a thing to say. Isn't it the story with the Laura thing to Rapunzel, because the mother has to brush the hair of Rapunzel to like keep her beauty?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it the same?
There's perhaps a similarity. However, as you said, there's a mother in that story, and in this one there isn't. She has no mother. She lives with her dad, right? But there's this reference to Narcissus, which comes from Greek mythology, and there's of course, foreshadowing in that, because he falls into the water because he's so in love with himself, and kills him. So you have an element of foreshadowing there that's quite interesting, I think. And now I'm like giving you an answer to question 3 or whatever, but I don't care. I just think it's interesting because of all these references, right? So to me, it's fascinating how he laid the groundwork for the story. But she does fall into her own craziness with herself. Her narcissism grows exponentially until she doesn't even want to meet men. She just wants to be with herself. So I think there's also an example of mental illness there, because this is not healthy self-love. This is infatuation, and it's narcissism, which is mental illness, of course. And it's like this growth of ego to the point where it destroys her. She literally destroys herself. She kills herself, right? So yeah, to me, that was this obsession with beauty is actually what made the ugliness come out and what created terror. So it's an interesting contrast there. And the fact that she remains a young girl, like she remains young mentally, right? The giggling and the twirling and all that, that's what a little girl does, right? But then you see time going forward, and she loses her father, the servants die, men stop looking at her because she's no longer attractive, and they die too. So you see the decades go on, and still she has the same behavior. So that's grotesque, right? When you're not acting your age. So it's probably not obvious, but like when you look deeper into the story, it becomes kind of creepy. Like you want your grandmother to be a grandmother. You want her to be old and be preoccupied with things that she should be preoccupied, like her grandchildren, or I don't know, whatever hobby she has. But acting like a teenage girl is strange because the time is gone, you know? And what else did I want to say? Did you guys understand the ending of the story? Like what happened? Was it clear? What happened? Your mic is off, Nasar. I know you're trying to talk, but we don't hear you.
I think that both of the owners died at the end, and the reflection of the blood is in it. There's all the past stuff.
Yeah, that's it. So you see how he tried to. And by the way, notice that there are no names. They're all depersonalized except for like Laura and the little girl and the guests and all that. That's an interesting thing to maybe think about. Why only he and she and it? Like, why did he not name them? An interesting thing to ask yourself. But yeah, basically, after destroying all the mirrors in the house to get rid of this force, the force finds other ways of creating reflections, right? And if you go back to the story of Narcissus, how does Narcissus look at himself? Water, right? So every time there's water or liquids, right, there's a possibility of creating reflection, like with the vase. So what she sees in the vase is actually the eyes of all the people who passed away and were absorbed, right, by this woman's collection of dead people. And then again, with flooding in the basement, why does she break the pipe? It's to create a really big mirror that you cannot break. You can't break water. You can break glass, but you can't break the basement lake that she creates, right? And then the woman goes down, and she has her own pride, right? She doesn't want to admit that she's scared, and that's exactly what makes her fall into the trap that Laura sets out to her. But she's not killed by it. She's killed by her own husband, right? He goes in and he sees this murky, dark thing. He can't see what he's doing, and he hits with the wrench, but what he's hitting is his own wife. And that's crazy, right? Because you see the wrench gets red and all that. He wants to call the police, but he's the one guilty. So there's an interesting little turn there at the end. Are there other things that you guys wanted to mention? Thoughts, impressions, things you liked or you didn't like? No, you could look into the symbolism of water or look into like mirrors and things like that for your response. It could be interesting. Or you could make up your own question. I don't mind. If you want to answer a different question, that could be good too. Are there any questions? It's 12:12. No? Do you want to keep doing this, like reading little things until we go on vacation? Yeah, it's fun. I was thinking we could read more stories or also like watch little things, and then I can give you a short quiz just to get like more little grades. Did you guys do your psycho quiz? Did you submit that? Yeah, did I give you your grades back?